Hey everyone, welcome back. You ever get those security advisories and you're like, ugh, really? More updates. Well, today we're diving into three that are, well, kind of big deals, all about vulnerabilities. We're talking Adobe, Google Chrome, and of course, Microsoft.
Usual suspects.
Right, we had to cover them. We're looking at those advisories from the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, all dated October 8th, 2024.
Fresh off the press.
Exactly. And we're here to break them down, make sure you know what's what and how to keep your digital life, actually digital and not belonging to someone else.
It's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but for your computer.
100%. Think of it this way. You wouldn't ignore a flashing warning light on your car, right? You'd at least be like, okay, something's up. These advisories are kind of like those warning lights for our tech.
Absolutely. They're giving us a heads up that there might be some cracks in our defenses.
Exactly. So let's dig in. First up, Adobe. And this isn't just one little thing. This is like a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. We're talking Substance 3D, Adobe Commerce, Dimension, Animate. It's a lot.
And that's what makes it so, concerning. Because Adobe products are everywhere. We're talking designers, businesses, even online stores. So many people could be impacted.
Right. And these aren't like minor glitches either. We're talking out-of-bounds reads, improper authentication, the kind of stuff that makes you want to change all your passwords immediately.
That's always a good idea, just in general.
True. But yeah, seriously, what do those even mean? Like out-of-bounds read? That sounds kind of scary.
So imagine someone's trying to read a book, right? But instead of sticking to the pages, they start looking at whatever's outside the margins, the stuff that's not even supposed to be part of the story.
Okay, I'm seeing where you're going with this.
Right. That's kind of what an out-of-bounds read is in software.
Well,
An attacker can sometimes peek at data they shouldn't have access to. It's like snooping where they shouldn't be.
not cool. Okay, so what about improper authentication? Is that like someone forgetting their password?
Not quite. It's more like if someone finds a way to bypass the password altogether, like finding a secret way in that doesn't require a key.
So it's like leaving your front door wide open.
Basically, not ideal for security, to say the least.
Definitely not. Okay, there was one more in this Adobe advisory that really caught my eye, and it sounds kind of ominous. Unrestricted upload a file with dangerous type. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, that one's a bit more straightforward. Imagine you've got a website, right? And
Yeah.
people can upload pictures, documents, that kind of thing. But there's no check on what type of file it is. So someone uploads something that looks like a harmless photo, but it's actually not.
A wolf in sheep's clothing,
Ex-
digitally.
Exactly. And just like that, they might get a way to mess with your system.
Yikes. Okay, so we've got some serious Adobe stuff to watch out for. And it's not just Adobe we got to worry about. We've got Google Chrome vulnerabilities too. And like everyone uses Chrome, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's one of those things you don't really think about, just kind of always there.
Exactly. Which is why this advisory kind of makes you go, It talks about type confusion, which honestly, I'm not even sure what that means.
So imagine you're telling your computer, hey, add these two numbers together. But instead of giving it two numbers, you give it a word and a number. Like add 5 and banana. The computer's gonna be like, what?
It'll short circuit, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's kind of what type confusion is. The program's expecting one type of data, but it gets something totally different, and it doesn't know what to do.
Okay, so it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly. And with Chrome, that can be a problem, like a big problem.
So what could actually happen? Worst case scenario.
In the worst case, this type of vulnerability could let an attacker, run their own code on your system just by you visiting a website.
No way! Just by visiting a website. That's nuts.
It's why keeping your browser updated is so crucial. It's not just about new features. It's about plugging those security holes.
Okay, yeah, that's a good reminder. Update your browsers, folks. Okay, moving on. We can't talk about vulnerabilities without mentioning Microsoft Patch Tuesday. It's like clockwork.
Right. Always reliable, even if it's a reminder of how much we have to update.
This time, though, it seems extra important. The advisory mentions two vulnerabilities, CVE 2024-43572 and CVE 2024-43573, and those are already being exploited.
Yep. Exploited in the wild, they call it. Means attackers are already using them.
So no messing around this time. We got to patch ASAP. What exactly is affected? Knowing Microsoft is probably a long list.
Oh yeah, we've got the usual suspects, Windows operating systems, Microsoft Office, but it also hits OpenSSH for Windows and even the Azure CLI.
Wow. Okay. So even if you think you're tech savvy, using just a few Microsoft things, you're still at risk.
That's the thing about Microsoft, their stuff is everywhere, you know?
So big takeaway here, folks. Check for updates and do it now. We've got Adobe, Google Chrome, Microsoft. It's a lot.
It can feel overwhelming, right? Like, how are we supposed to keep up with all this?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, what's the most important thing for us to remember?
I think it's this. Software vulnerabilities, they're just a part of life, like it or not. New ones pop up all the time. It's not about being perfectly secure. It's more about being aware and knowing what to do when those vulnerabilities pop up.
So being prepared.
Exactly, like you have a fire extinguisher, right? Just in case.
And one thing that struck me reading through these advisories is how much they emphasize user training.
Right. Because technology can only do so much.
It's not just about having the latest software, it's about knowing what to look for, right? Like a dodgy email or that suspicious link. It really does feel like, as users, we got to step up our game too, but it's kind of overwhelming, right? Where do we even start? There's so much to think about.
It's true. It's not always obvious. But I think the key is prioritization. You got to prioritize. What software do you really absolutely rely on? And what kind of information, what kind of data are you dealing with? Those are the things that can help you figure out, okay, what do I need to patch right this second?
Right, so don't panic, prioritize. Okay, that makes sense. But beyond just patching, is there anything else we should be doing to, stay ahead of the bad guys?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Don't underestimate just good habits. Like you wouldn't walk out of your house and leave the door wide open, right?
Hopefully not.
Exactly. So same goes for your computer. Strong passwords. Be careful about emails, those links, two-factor authentication whenever you can. All those things, they add up.
Like layers of protection.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. This has been super helpful. But it makes you think, right? Like, so much of the software we use, it relies on open source components. What happens if there's a vulnerability in one of those? It's like the domino effect.
That's a really important point. And yeah, it's something the whole tech industry is trying to figure out. Because you're right, one weak link, and it can all come crashing down. We need more investment in open source security, better ways to report vulnerabilities when they're found. Just got to keep pushing for better security practices across the board.
It's a team effort, it sounds like.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We all have a role to play in making the digital world a safer place.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's about all the time we have for this deep dive into the sometimes scary world of software vulnerabilities. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more informed and a lot less terrified. Remember, it's a journey, not a race. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe out there.